Hello everybody and welcome to the War Room. This one is for the UFC 272 main event between the welterweights that hate each other at the moment, which makes it even better. Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal. Okay, quick tail of the tape, we'll rattle through this. 16-3 for Colby Covington, 35-15 for Jorge Masvidal. Same height, both 5'11", pretty much the same reach. I mean, Masvidal's got a 2-inch reach advantage. Covington here is listed as orthodox. I'm not exactly sure why that is. Covington is predominantly southpaw. Masvidal switches his stance, but he's predominantly orthodox. But he's confident and comfortable to switch his stance to southpaw if it's useful to him. You'll see him do that in the Darren Till fight. As far as strikes landed per minute, I mean, they've got very similar stats here. Masvidal's got a 10% advantage in striking accuracy and a 10% advantage in striking defense. But the stat that's really going to be important in this fight, I think, and we all know that, is 75% takedown defense for Masvidal. Now, Covington, of course, his takedown accuracy is 46%, which is a decent stat. You know, he's scoring every other takedown he's trying. And if you think his game is not really to take someone down once and hold them down and finish them there, it's to take them down multiple times and make that a big part of his arsenal, make the depletion of their gas tank and the fatigue that sets in after that a big part of his game plan, then of course, 50% takedowns is a really good stat, and he's going to know Masvidal. This is the other reason why we're so interested in this fight, is because these guys used to live together, they used to train together. Masvidal was a few years ahead of him as far as being a pro, but they would have learned so much from one another. Covington was brought in to help him with his wrestling, with his scrambling ability, which we know he has because we've seen so many improvements in Masvidal's game. He's very, very good takedown defense. He's very aware when he's on the floor, when his neck's being threatened, and when his back's attempting to be taken. So whatever Covington's bringing to the octagon, it's going to be difficult because Masvidal's already seen a lot of it. The same thing goes with Masvidal's striking. And of course, they've both made improvements. Colby will be a better MMA wrestler than he was when he was a Masvidal training partner. And Masvidal has most definitely become a better, more mature striker over the years. But they'll have a familiarity with one another's rhythm. They'll have a familiarity with the preferences, and they'll also know each other quite well psychologically. Where the point is and where they start to struggle and break and doubt themselves. If that is at all a thing. As far as striking goes, and it's quite interesting because obviously I've done the breakdown show and I saw a couple of the comments saying, how can Masvidal be a better striker than Covington when Masvidal got knocked out by Usman and Covington didn't? And my answer to those people is not every fight is as straightforward and as simple as that. The reason why Covington had a good success with Usman with his striking was because Usman didn't really want to grapple with him too much, but Usman knew quite comfortably that he could clinch Masvidal and tie him up. It was like he did in the first fight. In the second fight, it was like he was confident and comfortable with Masvidal's timing and wanted to test his own striking. And as we know, Usman's striking has gotten better and better over the years, much more dangerous. Covington, I'm not saying his striking isn't as effective as Masvidal's in the right fight, because of course it is. You can windmill your arms at somebody, and if they're not blocking, then you're going to catch them. You don't have to have the prettiest technique to be effective. Wanderlei Silva is one of my best examples. He's probably one of the most effective strikers over the history of mixed martial arts, but by far one of the least pretty strikers. Even his pad work looked crazy and a bit chaotic. There is a benefit to that, of course, but Masvidal's polished striking comes with years of knowledge and awareness of striking, years of testing and trying things. So although they might be as competitive with one another in the striking range, the calculations that are going on in Masvidal's head regarding striking are on a different level to Colby's. It goes the same, though, for Colby when it hits the floor. Masvidal will definitely be a step or two behind him because Covington's got years and years of experience on the mats, breaking people down. It's a big part of his game. Look what he did to Tyron Woodley. He broke him down, he pressured him, and there was the rib injury, which wouldn't have happened if Tyron Woodley was sat on his sofa that night. That rib injury was caused by the pressure that he was under, the damage that he was taking, the punches that he was taking from Colby. So this is very much for me a fight of two halves, and not if it's striking, it's clear cut for Masvidal, and if it's grappling, it's clear cut for Colby. but clear where they have the technical and the fundamental advantages in their skill set. Colby's definitely going to be a better wrestler overall than Masvidal. Masvidal overall is going to be a better striker than Colby Covington. But what we're trying to figure out here between the two is which one is the best MMA fighter. And that requires all assets to be taken into account. Which is why I think everybody's leaning towards Colby, because the swing vote for where the fight goes in mixed martial arts is the wrestling, which is what Colby should be controlling with his skill set. When it hits the floor, it's not quite as straightforward, because Masvidal will always still be looking to damage. We know he's got submissions on his record, although it's not his preference. I very much feel like Masvidal will be trying to hold and release and trying to tie Covington up if he hits the floor. And then as soon as this space, he'll be frantically trying to fight to get that space and get back to his feet. He'll want to be on his feet for this fight. He's not going to want to be tangled up and wasting cardiovascular energy and time grappling with Covington. But he's also going to be aware that he's probably going to have to if he's getting the better of him in the striking ranges. Now, with Masvidal's style, the way that he kind of picks and plays with his opponent is one of the reasons why he's able to catch them in the later rounds with something that finishes the fight. Because every time he feints or he throws something out there, he's making a log in his brain of their reactions. If I throw this hand out there, he reaches forward with his hand, so I'll come over the top. Or, when he throws his kick, he's kind of lazy with it, with his chin, so I can catch his kick and swing a left right hook over the top, like he did against Cowboy, like he did against Till in the early rounds. He's able to kind of take in the information that he's getting every time his opponent moves, every time they do something. It's like this subconscious calculation that's always going on in the back of his head. That's the bit I don't feel like Colby's got. He has an overall calculation of MMA, but that specific striking calculation, I think, is more on Jorge's favor. On the other side, you've got Colby, who has a much more of a calculated approach to breaking someone down, because that's what he does. Masvidal's game in the grappling range is to stop that happening, to kind of reverse engineer it. One of my favorite performances for Masvidal when it comes to takedown defense is Rustam Habalov, and it's convenient that that's around the same time that Covington was in Masvidal's camp, because there would have been so many training sessions where Covington was being Rustam Habalov, chasing his back, trying to take him down, trying to control him, and Masvidal was constantly scrambling out of those positions. So he's had real life preparation to face Covington. Works the opposite way though. Covington's had real life experience trying to deal with Masvidal. The one other thing I keep coming back to, which is the mystery to all of us, is we don't know where they are psychologically with each other. We don't know what Colby Covington's memory of Masvidal is as far as the training camps goes and the sparring sessions. We don't know whether he got his ass kicked every day by Masvidal. We don't know whether he dominated Masvidal every day. We don't know whether it was quite 50-50, and they both going into this fight kind of with, not really knowing, but stepping in with confidence that they can do it on them in the moment. Like, if you spend long enough training with an individual, you get to know them really well. Even like a week of hard sparring and grappling, like you get to know the ins and outs of someone. So if you've trained with them and lived with them and, shared your most intimate secrets, which I'm sure they have, who knows how this fight's going to play out? Their skill sets are one thing, but their mindsets are another entirely. Covington, you just can't discourage the man. He keeps going continuously. He has this self-belief which is overpowering when it comes to mixed martial arts, when it comes to his opponents, because they do break under his pressure. They do break under the volume and the intensity that he throws at them. But then with Masvidal, he plays with them, he toys with them. He big brothers them sometimes, like he did against Nate Diaz, like he did against Darren Till. He I mean, it was almost like with the Nate Diaz fight, it was a bit cat and mouse for me. I know a lot of people felt like it, I say a lot. I know some people would argue that it was competitive and Nate was hanging in there, but I don't know. I felt like Masvidal was kind of toying with him a little bit. I'll be honest. It didn't feel like Masvidal was putting his foot on the gas, and I didn't feel at any point in that fight week that Masvidal gave the impression that he was concerned in any way about Nate. I think it would have been a different experience if he was fighting Nick, but I think Masvidal knew that he had Nate's number, so he was happy to to kind of maybe drag the fight out a little bit in times when he could have finished. With Covington, he's going to be lethal at every opportunity, but that will also be met by Covington's resilience to that. So the short-range elbows and knees that Masvidal can land, his tenacity in the scrambles has to match Covington, otherwise he'll get worn down and he'll get defeated in the distance. He has to create those opportunities for him to strike, because that's where Covington's going to be trying to suffocate him and take him away. And if Covington is be able to get him to the floor, then this is where fatigue is enemies of us all. You know, Covington might be able to take Masvidal. Say he scores 50% of his takedowns and he attempts 4 takedowns a round. He's taking Masvidal down twice. Even if he tries 2 takedowns a round, he's probably going to take him down once a round. Masvidal's got to work up back to his feet, in which case he's either going to give his back, or he's going to give top position, or he's going to open himself up to Covington in some way. Or if nothing else, he's going to spend a few gas credits getting back to his feet. I keep going back and forth on this. In my heart, I kind of want Masvidal to win because I like the authenticity of his character, and I'm not as keen on the theatrics that Covington brings to the table. But I also am aware that might make me underestimate the toughness and durability of Covington, and that really is where I feel like this fight is won and lost. Masvidal's got to do damage in the early couple of rounds. If he doesn't, then Covington's going to start to gain confidence because he knows Masvidal's diminishing. And if Masvidal starts to show that pressure, show that frustration of looking up at the referee or looking up at the clock to see how long he's got left, or looking over to his corner team and being like, yeah, no, he's just holding on to me. That is frustration. And we see it sometimes with fighters that get stuck on the floor. Like, it makes people do silly things. It makes people spend energy they don't want to expend. And Covington's back-taking skills are dangerous. For me, it's the first 2 rounds for Masvidal, the middle round's the swing, and then the 4th and 5th round is where Covington really starts to come on strong. This is a coin toss fight. It's one of the most interesting fights in mixed martial arts right now that could be made because of the because of the needle, the dislike between the two of them. And also the fact that they're training partners, they're former training partners and teammates, makes it even more interesting. Oh, what a fight. Enjoy these, and I'll see you next time.